Welcome to my podcast. This is Mary Turderoff, and you are listening to Jump In with Mary. Okay, let's start. Today, I have my dear friend, Jade. Thank you for coming, Jade.
Thank you for having me.
And she just reeled in her birthday at a Russian spa.
Mhm.
They flipped her upside down and spun her around.
Yeah.
What else? What did they do there? Tell us a little.
So they did a sound bath
Uh-huh.
to start and gave us like tea and stuff. And then we did like the stretching with like this really long wooden stick.
Like
I
you were
guess.
spread out on this thing and
Yeah.
they were spinning you like,
Yeah. I think it's called the Provello stretcher, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah.
And we did a Russian banya and then cold plunge and then like a room temperature bath with herbs and stuff in it.
That sounds
And a
so
massage at the end.
That's a perfect way to reel it in.
Yeah.
So you're here now. You've sobered up. We're ready to talk about your life, your adventures, highs, lows. So let's start with this piece of information that's going to really surprise listeners. You stereotypically don't look like a woman who would, I don't know, be in the Navy, but Jade was in the Navy at 18.
Yes.
And you're like this petite, gorgeous blonde. And tell us a little bit about why you joined the Navy and what it was like for a young, attractive woman to be in that type of environment.
Yeah, of course. So I joined the Navy after high school. I wanted to get away from home, away from my family.
So just some like quick background.
Yeah.
It was really intense at home, right? I think there was some addiction and family members battling with addiction.
Oh, yeah. Both my parents were alcoholics. Me and my friends were actually joking at my birthday dinner. They're like, oh, the Navy must have really desensitized you. And I was like, actually, I was desensitized before I joined the military.
Your family prepped you.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So did they find you? Did the Navy find you, or did you find them?
They pretty much found me. I was actually trying to join the Air Force, and I would go to the office. You know, all the recruiting offices are right by side of each other. And the Navy people would see me coming and peek into the Air Force window. They were never there. And so they reeled me in and got me to join the Navy.
Is it like an application form you fill out and then you go for an interview?
I don't remember, honestly. I think you do have to fill something out, and then they send you to a testing facility in downtown to take the ASVAB. And then based on your scores, they tell you which jobs you can choose from, pretty much.
How do they assess your physicality, or do they?
They do. You have to pass a physical fitness test before they take you to boot camp.
Was it rigorous?
No, it was just like a run and some push-ups and sit-ups. It wasn't anything crazy. The Navy's not as hard as like the Army or the Marines. It's a little bit more chill when it comes to the physical aspect.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let's talk about the day where you're actually leaving and you're packing your belongings, and you show up. Was it what you expected?
So they actually have you stay in a hotel the night before with a bunch of other people that are leaving, and they put you in a room with another person who's going, a complete stranger. And they wake you up early in the morning, like around 4 a.m. to get on the bus and go to the airport. And that's pretty much when boot camp starts, because that's when all the screaming and tough
love
treatment starts. Yeah. Yeah.
So it is really tough love, like, okay.
But nothing you wouldn't expect. Like, I know I'm going to boot camp. I know I'm joining the military. Like, I'm not expecting them to be nice or easy on me, you know?
Would you say at any moment in time it like broke you, because it's a lot?
No.
Mm.
No. They tried. They tried really hard to break me, and they couldn't.
Well, you are my unbreakable friend, badass queen. That's why you're here. That's why we're talking. But it's really interesting because, like I said, you're very fit, because we met in the fitness world, and I can see how that overlaps.
Yeah.
But how did you do in terms of friendships, are there really friendships in the Army,
Mhm.
or people just latching onto each other to survive? It's an intense environment.
You know, I would say there are friendships in the military. A lot of people meet and make their best friends in the military. I did make some really good friends. Not really any that I currently keep in contact with since I've been out. I always had my best friends back home. So instead of hanging out with the people I was in the military with, I would come back home and see my friends at every opportunity I got. My friends were always more like my family. So they are the ones who always kept me grounded instead of my family.
So when you got there, you had that foundation and you didn't really like need that extra.
Yeah. And I would see how these girls in the military would treat each other. And it would just like completely, I was like, no way.
Tell me, like give me some examples of what you saw. What would they do?
Well, for example, when I first got there to the ship, the USS Nimitz, when I first got on the Nimitz, there was like footprints on my rack. People were throwing trash on my rack. My stuff was going missing, and I didn't even know anybody yet. I literally just got to the boat. So at that point, I was like, all right, well, can I cuss? Fuck everybody. You know, I'm doing my own thing pretty much. And I just blocked everybody out.
So you essentially got hazed even before you knew anybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. Well, let's pivot. And I have to ask, you're really hot. So like do people hit on you?
Oh, 100%.
Men, women, everybody, right?
More the women for sure.
So more women were hitting on you than men.
Oh, hitting. I thought you said hating.
Oh, like hitting on like
men for sure.
Like,
oh yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And what is the sexual culture? Because let me preface it by saying, as an outsider, I can see that you are in a restricted environment. You don't get to go out to a bar or dinner with girlfriends. So, and you have human needs. So what is it? What was the sexual landscape like? I mean,
well, you do hang out with people when you're not on the boat. So, I mean, it's just like a any other work environment. I think it's very common for the people that you work with or the people that you hang out with most of the time in your career. So it's the same in the military. I mean, we live with these people, we work with these people.
And you sleep with these people.
Yeah, exactly. You're not really able to get outside that box. So human nature is going to take its course, you know? So yeah, it's just like any other work environment, I think, except for you spend more time with each other.
Right.
Than outside of the military. Yeah.
Did you feel like you had to hold back your beauty in the sense that like kind of put forward a more male physical face, like tie your hair in a knot? For example, I used to tie my hair back in court just to look a little more masculine is what I'm asking.
No, I mean, of course, in uniform, you have certain guidelines you have to follow as far as your hair goes and all of that. But outside of uniform, I mean,
you were you.
Yeah, I was me for sure.
You didn't lose your sensuality.
No, 100% not.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Okay. So I'm going to kind of move on and talk a little bit about briefly about family, because I think it's amazing that you grew up in a family who was struggling, grappling with addiction, yet you are this incredible daughter, woman, sister who didn't fall into that abyss. You really stayed away from addiction, alcohol. And I just want to ask, how did you find yourself so grounded in a home where everybody was probably doing their best, the best they could, but how did you not get stuck addicted to anything?
Yeah, I mean, I think I always remember my one goal as a child was just to not end up like my parents. So I think that had a lot to do with it. Also, I spent a lot of time outside of my house. I was always at my neighbors' houses. I was always at my friends' houses. I always saw my friends' families and how they operated. And so that gave me an idea of what a stable home environment should and could, I guess, look like. So I think that helped a lot, actually.
That's incredible. Like you were so young and you had this intentional conscious awareness that there's more out there.
Yeah.
It could be better.
Yeah.
I remember once we were chit-chatting and you had mentioned like you remember being a kid and you had like a glimpse of a memory of like being in saloons. I forget what you called them. They weren't saloons.
Oh, the Moose Lodge.
The Moose Lodge. And I said, what the fuck is a Moose Lodge? I thought it was somewhere like a petting barn or something. But like tell us what's a Moose Lodge. Does it exist? I don't think there.
I think they do. I've seen one actually here in Burbank.
There's a Moose Lodge?
There's a Moose Lodge.
Okay, well, we're not going.
Yeah.
But tell listeners what the freak is a Moose Lodge.
So I actually asked my dad, I think a couple years ago, like, what is a Moose Lodge? And he told me, well, it's a bar that you could bring kids to. So I guess that's the point of a Moose Lodge.
Like there's a playpen and a babysitter sitting there.
No, there's no babysitter. Okay. But you could just bring kids. Yeah. So, I mean, I was shooting bank shots on the pool table by the time I was 5.
I could see that, Jade. And you remember being there, right?
Oh, all the time.
That's a colorful imagery.
All the time. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
They're big. They have backyard spaces. You could play horseshoes. Yeah, they're really big. They have a bunch of different rooms.
But it's a bar.
It's a bar. Yeah.
Because I thought there was some, this could be incorrect. I thought there was some law where you can't have minors on the premise. But who knows?
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know.
Calling it a Moose Lodge resolves that.
I remember playing with other kids there and people bringing babies there. Like, yeah. I mean, a lot of times we were the only kids, but sometimes there were other kids.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Oh my gosh. Okay. Thanks for sharing that. I can't not bring that up. Okay. So you did something that was really brave. You made, like many people and women and men in our generation who are wanting to change or switch careers. When we started our friendship, you were very much in the fitness and wellness industry.
Yeah.
You were doing really well, had an amazing client base, totally amazing at what you did. And you started this transition and now you're big time in real estate. So walk us through that because that doesn't happen overnight. Like you didn't, did you drop that job and just run to the other end?
No. So, I mean, real estate had actually been on my mind for a while. A lot of my clients who were very wealthy and well off were in real estate one way or another. And I actually had other people telling me like, oh, you should do real estate. And at the time I'm like, oh, no, like I don't really want to do that. And then I don't know. And then it just didn't leave my mind. Like I kept thinking about it. And so I was just like, you know what, let me just get my license and see what happens. And I got my license and then I started interviewing a few brokerages and I was doing real estate and massage, half time. And eventually I just started full-time in real estate.
The license, let's just rewind quickly. The license is what was studying for that exam like? Because you were, by the way, a single mom working full time when you were obtaining the license, right?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, so what was it a test? Did you have to study at night after you put your daughter to sleep? Walk us through that.
So it's 3 certificates that you have to get, and I did an online course for each certificate. So that was pretty easy. Each one is a month long. And then I didn't really study. It's a lot of information. I don't like wasting my time if I don't know what I'm doing. So I did some research. I found this weekend crash course in Anaheim. I did the weekend crash course and then I studied for 2 or 3 weeks the little booklet that they gave you and I took the test.
When do you study? You have a child. You're a single mom, just to paint this picture. You're working full time to pay the bills because it's not like your parents. You're not a trust fund baby. Your parents are not throwing checks your way.
Yeah.
So when did you study? You put your daughter, you come home from work, make dinner, you get her from school, make dinner, put her to sleep, and then you hit the books?
Well, actually, I think during this time, Jayla was still in Ohio.
Okay.
So I had a little bit more time. But I used Quizlet. I used Quizlet and I would study the book that they gave me just at night. Usually at night when I'm chilling on the couch, I just review it. take the Quizlet tests. And yeah, once I felt confident, I booked the test.
And you passed the test, license is there. And now there's I'm starting this new career. I don't have a Rolodex of clients, and money doesn't just, pump out in the beginning when you're an agent.
Yeah.
So how did you juggle that? Because rent is still due.
Yeah. So I had money saved up from my massage and training business. So that was a great cushion to rely on. And it took some time before I got my first transaction. I think maybe it was about 6 months or so. And it wasn't a huge check either. So I don't know. I'm not the type of person that dwells on the fear and the what ifs. I'm more of the type of person that I know I'm going to figure it out and make it happen one way or another.
Yes, because you are explaining it so seamlessly, but knowing you and having been with you when that transition was happening, it was a lot. So you were working one job fully.
Yeah.
And you were answering back to all clients and then you were basically for 6 months, you were hustling for that one check in real estate, a very new industry that you're not really well known in yet.
Yeah.
So you're essentially working 2 full-time jobs for the record.
Yeah,
right.
Definitely. I mean, my team was very helpful as well. I'm very grateful that I found the team that I found because they were very helpful in guiding me 100%. But it was a lot, like seeing massage clients and then like having to hurry up and change to do real estate stuff because, massage clients, I'm in workout clothes, and then real estate, I have to look professional. So it was a lot.
Yeah, so you're changing in your car. Yeah. I can visualize it. And your massage clients, I have to pivot and talk about this crazy story you shared with me once because I always wonder. So you did very high-end private massages in private residential homes. And I would always wonder, and I'd ask you, Jade, like you show up, you're this beautiful woman, you have male clientele, male and female. Like, do you get propositioned? Everybody was wondering. Everybody wants to know, like behind closed doors. And you shared this kind of crazy story that you did get propositioned once, right?
Oh, multiple times.
Tell me like a few of the crazy stories, nameless, just like you're in the room, like what is it like? They tell me one of the stories. I know one of them was a woman.
Yes, one of them was a woman.
Spill the beans, girlfriend.
So this is when I was actually using an app when I first got my massage license. To one of my friends told me about the app, and at the time they had massage therapists on there. Now they don't, which is understandable why they don't, because I would say at least 50% of the time it was somebody wanting like some extra service.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so give us the story, the breakdown. You get a message from the app. You're the provider. It's a woman, man?
A man.
Okay, a man. And how do you make, like, you're also worried about your safety because this is the kind of job where you're showing up to somebody's home alone.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you don't know who they are, who's in there. Okay, so how do you screen them? Do you get a sense of?
Yeah, a little bit. Pretty much I asked some questions through the app. Again, I'm not like a fearful person, so there's probably some more screening that I could have done.
Okay, well, so you basically let's move on. You didn't screen this person. Now you're at the front door. Ding dong. What happens? He opens the door.
So for the one, somebody's husband booked me for their wife. It was an older man. Okay. Right? So I show up to the door. It's the woman who answers. She's in a bathrobe. It's a huge house. And we go upstairs, set up the table in the bedroom. Usually a red flag that I learned was if they want to be completely naked, it's usually a red flag. For her, I didn't think anything of it because it was a woman. She's like, she's smaller than me, this little petite girl. Okay. And she wanted to be completely naked. And I'm like, sure, fine, like whatever you feel comfortable with. But and towards the end, she was asking me for a happy ending, essentially.
Wow. Just like that, at the end, she just said, hey. Yeah. Will you go down on me? Oh my gosh.
She said, do you massage the genital area? And I said, no.
Oh my God. And this was like the last 5 minutes of the session?
Yeah, it was already ending. Yeah.
And her husband had booked for her.
Her husband had booked for her, but he was not there.
Okay.
I had a feeling it was like a setup, to be honest. Like, I'm like, are there hidden cameras here? Like, what's going on? You know, there's like a big vibrator sitting on the nightstand. It
Her
was just
vibrator was
weird.
there sitting.
Yeah, sitting on the nightstand. It was just weird. I'm like, this has to be like a setup. They have to have hidden cameras somewhere.
And so when you said no, I'm assuming you didn't laugh like you did right
I
now.
might have. I might have.
Okay, so you say no. Does a client snap? Like, do they get weird? Or they go, okay, sure.
No, yeah. They're just, yeah.
Whatever. They don't like snap at you.
No.
Oh my goodness. That's a story. And you just pack up and never heard from them again?
They reached out again and I didn't write back.
Maybe they thought they can really
warm me up.
warm you up, or you would warm them up, it sounds like. Oh my gosh. Okay. What about with men? Like, have you been in a situation that has felt unsafe? Like a little compromising, and where you're like, this is getting uncomfortable?
Honestly, I wouldn't say unsafe, but I have been in situations where they obviously wanted more.
But do they corner you? Have you been like backed up against the wall?
Never.
Okay, good.
Never. Yeah.
Good. I must be a scaredy cat because I keep thinking like that would be my biggest concern.
Yeah. Yeah. No, never. Like they hint for it, they nudge for it. I either ignore it or I go really hard and dig my elbow into them.
Oh my gosh. I love you. Wait. One more time. Hold on. So the man is laying down, they're nudging, and then you just do that.
Yeah, I just like really put a lot of pressure, like to really dig in there, and then they usually like stop.
Yeah, because they're in pain. And I'm sure, I mean, are there like erections during sessions?
Yeah, but it's normal.
It is?
I've had a client have an erection during a session, but he never, ever tried anything. He was but it can be normal to happen. They tell you that in massage school.
And you work around it.
I just ignore it. And then
you really are immune to a lot, Jade.
I know.
You really are. It makes me feel like I gotta get out there a little more. I would be so awkward, and I would just stop. But I love that you're like, I'll work around the premises. Oh my gosh. Okay, thank you for sharing those silly, fun stories. So you are a single badass mom. For the listeners, I want to bring up that your daughter's biracial.
Mm-hmm.
And can you like give me a little bit about what's your nationality, your daughter's, and then we'll take it from there.
Okay. Yeah, I'm white, mostly Italian, with some other stuff from my mom's side. And yeah, my daughter's half me, so half white and half Haitian.
So I was wondering, with your daughter looking different skin color, was it a journey for you in the beginning to not look like her? Were people commenting, thinking you're her babysitter? You also look like you're 21.
Yeah.
So were you getting comments like that? And follow up, did it bug you?
Yeah. No, honestly, I think even though we have different hair, different skin, a lot of people do say that she looks like my twin.
Yes.
So it didn't bother me at all. And I always knew I was going to have a mixed baby. I grew up in a very diverse environment. I've had friends of all nationalities. I've had a lot of Black friends my whole life, a lot of Hispanic friends my whole life. So I always knew, I was going to have a mixed child.
And I remember chatting once you mentioned you always felt that you fit in more.
Yeah, definitely.
With people who were not from your same background.
Yeah,
you weren't
100%.
White Italian.
100%. I've always felt I fit in more with non-white people.
That's so interesting. And that makes sense that you wouldn't feel this gap between you and your daughter aesthetically, just because she looks, she has a different background.
Yeah.
Did she ever ask, she's a little older now, but when she was younger, would she ever ask questions like that? Like, why don't we have the same skin color? Anything like that come up?
No, not at all. I mean, ever since when she was a baby, when she could first start talking, she would always look at me and her dad and be like, Daddy brown, mommy white.
So it sounds like it was the way she grew up, and it was that's the norm.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's mom and dad, and
yeah.
She is really beautiful.
Thank you. She is.
And you also had to do something a little hard, go through a divorce. We're not really gonna like leap into the divorce. It's more of, I want to know tips and advice about co-parenting, because even if a couple is very amicable, co-parenting is a big topic and it's a difficult no matter what.
Yeah.
For a listener who is in the situation or considering moving forward with a divorce, any insights or tips and advice about how you emotionally or spiritually got through co-parenting? Did you have a team of other, did you have to find like a therapist who could really support you, for example? How did you get through that difficult co-parenting journey?
I think that the journey is ongoing. It's constantly changing and new hurdles come and go.
Okay.
So it's still a learning experience. But yeah, I mean, my daughter has a therapist that helps her with mine and her dad's separation. And I think that was very helpful.
And you found the
her.
therapist?
So actually, I applied for the therapist through the Burbank School District because they provide it for free for children who are having a hard time.
I didn't know that. That's great.
Yeah, and she's had the same therapist ever since.
So you fill an application form and then they connect you with someone.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Yeah. So a great resource. It was very helpful.
How soon did you do that? Just
as soon as she was old enough. So this was, I think, right before she was starting kindergarten. So as soon as she was entered into the school district, I reached out about the service.
Great.
And I think she was 4.5 at the time.
Okay.
So
one of the things was find someone, a neutral third party for your child to talk to. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay.
And help them understand the situation that's going on. Because it was way harder for her than I thought it was going to be. I had no idea that it was going to affect her that much. Yeah.
Okay.
But as far as co-parenting go, I think that me and her dad are still trying to figure it out, honestly. I think right now we're doing really well.
Great.
Now that his ex is out of the picture.
Okay. Yeah. So that's kind of like, I'm glad you brought that up again, just generally, because when two people divorce, you expect each person to move on. You want that. You want both parties to find someone and be happy. But like you mentioned, it's not always very simple.
Yeah.
And I have some friends who are dealing with an ex-spouse who's kind of rotating in a lot of people. And that's also a problem for a child. I'm not saying that was your situation.
Yeah.
It's just how is that something you talk about with her, or do you let most of the conversations that are that heavy be done through the therapist? Or is it a combo of mom and child talking and therapist?
Yeah, I think it's a combo. Like she definitely will ask me questions and I'll answer it. And sometimes if I don't know exactly how to answer it, I do talk to her therapist and get some advice from her.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I love that I really am a big proponent of therapy for adults and children. I want to know, what about you? Did you get a therapist for yourself to kind of crawl out of this on the other side?
Yeah, I was actually seeing a therapist at the same time that my daughter started seeing hers because they provide it for both the mother and the child.
Through the school district?
Yeah, through the school district. And I had to be there anyways and wait for her. I couldn't leave the building. So while she was doing her session, I was doing my session.
Great.
So yeah, and I've done other forms of therapy. I've movement desensitization therapy, plant medicine therapy. I mean, I've tried a lot of different things.
A plant? Are you referring to ayahuasca? Oh gosh, Jade, we got to talk about ayahuasca because I've heard so many wonderful things about it, but I am terrified.
Yeah, it's definitely not for everybody.
Okay, but you had a positive experience.
I had positive. I've had intense experiences. I definitely do not think it's my ideal form of therapy for sure.
Okay.
But I tried it, and I tried it a lot to try to get, the benefit of it that I wanted. And I just don't think it's for me.
That's such an elegant way of putting it. But I'll tell you, I have never tried it, but I'll tell you what I think. From some people have had elating experiences from it, but this is, like I said, I'm a scaredy cat.
Yeah.
And Oh, by the way, can you explain what ayahuasca is for people who don't know?
Yeah, it's a plant medicine derived from a plant in South America. It's a form of DMT, and it's
guided. It's done through a guide.
Yes, it's done through a guide.
Okay.
But you have to make sure you find a really good guide, because there are a lot of guides that take advantage and they're not a real shaman. So if you're going to do it, make sure you do your research on who you're going to do it with.
They take advantage and like take your money and they do a bad job?
Yeah, it's just a money market at this point.
And can you overdose?
I don't know if you can overdose, but if your body is not in a healthy state to do it, there are people who have died. There are people who have had seizures. If there's people who do a bunch of other drugs and decide they want to try ayahuasca. It's not how it works. So You can definitely harm yourself from it.
Yes. And stop me anytime this is incorrect, but my understanding is it's like a group of people. You show up, you don't necessarily know everybody. And one thing that really shocked me and scares me about doing it is I heard people just throw up right there, or sometimes defecate, i.e. take a shit in front of everybody.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I can handle that.
Yeah.
Is that so? First of all, is it true that it's like a spoon and it just goes around from mouth to mouth? A spoon of the substance?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
The shaman that I did it with, it was a shot glass, but we all use the same cup.
Oh, it's like taking a vodka shot, basically. Is it a muddy brown?
Some people use spoon, but yeah, it's like a dark brown. Sometimes it's thick. Sometimes it's a little bit more liquidy. It just depends on how the shaman makes it.
But what about doses? I read that it should be dosed, because there could be a 300-pound man next to you who needs a little more to feel anything.
Yeah, but everybody starts off with the same dose, and if you feel called to go back for more, then you go back for more.
So you decide if you want more, not the shaman.
Not the shaman. Yes, correct.
Ay, ay, ay.
Yeah.
So, okay. How long did it last, this process for you?
It could last anywhere from 4 to 12 hours.
I thought it was a 24-hour thing. Like you stay there, right?
You do stay there overnight.
You sleep right there on the floor?
Mm-hmm.
No beds, no.
I mean, you could bring a bed. It just depends on the place that you're doing it at, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it expensive?
It depends on the place. I would say some places are more expensive than others.
Like how much did you pay? Give me an idea. Is it $500?
Like $400.
$400 for like a 12-hour journey.
Yeah.
And of course, this is word of mouth, because I don't think they can advertise
Mine was invite only. There are people who advertise it, actually. You can't advertise it.
Okay. Oh, invite only.
Mine was invite only. You have to know somebody.
That sounds exclusive.
So, yeah, I got very lucky.
Right.
With the shaman that I was invited to see. Yeah.
And you went with a friend you trusted?
No.
Oh, you went alone?
I went alone.
You have balls. Jade is so delicate looking and soft spoken, but man, she's got balls of steel. Like, I am so terrified. Even if you offered to go with me, I'd be like, Jade, I have a list of questions. I just don't know if I can watch somebody take a shit in front of me. I just can't do it.
That doesn't happen often.
No. I was asking another friend. So there's one bathroom and how many people? I don't know. And you can't like snap out of it. It's like a drug.
Oh, no.
Right?
Yeah. I wouldn't consider it a drug, honestly. No. You don't do it to have a good time. That's for sure.
So let's talk about that. So and you're right. It's not for partying. It's it's for a very intentional spiritual journey.
Yeah.
Correct?
100%.
To like reconnect with yourself and to release tension in the body that is hindering your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a lot of people said they find their spirit animal.
Yeah.
Did you find yours?
No.
Oh gosh.
I wish.
So what did you see? What happened? Like, give me something. Did you see anything? Hocus pocus?
Man. There was one journey that I went on, and I had like little elementals working on my body.
What's it like?
They're like neon beans, and they were just like working on me. I don't know.
Just
they're
like
just
energetically
trucking along like on me. I don't know how to explain
Okay,
it.
okay. I'm
It was very interesting. Yeah.
like green,
Yeah.
little
Green,
energy
blue,
balls.
Yeah, little energy bodies. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And then another time, it felt like I was going on a roller coaster.
That's fun.
Yeah, it was very intense. Like imagine sitting just still, but every time you close your eyes, it's literally like you're on a roller coaster. Like the physical sensation was so intense, and then it felt like I was being pulled into outer space. Like I could literally see the sky and the stars, and like it was intense. So I opened my eyes, and then it went away, and then I tried to go back, and it was too late. I missed the opportunity.
That's so interesting. Like does it feel like sometimes I have dreams and I'm so embedded in the dream, but there is this awareness that I can pull myself out, yet it's so real. Is that how it feels? Like it's so real, you know it's a dream, but then you don't.
It's even more intense than that.
Like was there panic? Like I want to get out and I don't know if I can get out of this?
No, because usually when you open your eyes, you usually bring yourself out of it for the most part. Okay. Yeah. It's when you close your eyes that you go back in. But it's way more intense than a dream for sure. Cause it's actually happening. Like you're awake.
Wow. You know you're awake the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
That's very interesting.
Yeah. It's hard to explain.
Where do they do these things? Like in India or in the desert, I'm guessing.
Yeah, everywhere. I mean.
Is it someone's home? Is it
sometimes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is so interesting.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. Of course. Maybe one day it's in the stars for me. I don't know.
I mean, I feel like if you don't feel called to it, then don't do it. It's not for everybody.
Yeah.
100%.
You're right.
Yeah.
I love that. No, and I don't feel called, like I feel nervous about it. So that's why I haven't put myself in a situation where I'd feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because those jitters probably make you have a bad reaction too.
100%.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I will not. Okay. Now tell me what it's like to date in LA as a single mom in general. I'm hearing the inventory is low, and bad because all these guys have so much access to so many freaking women online. Is this true or false?
I would say yes, it is true. Yes.
Okay. Is there any way to get through dating as a single mom and not be on social like online dating? Or do you have to be on online dating?
Honestly, I don't prefer it. It's hard to date already as it is as a single mom. So usually if I end up dating somebody or seeing somebody, it's because I already know them through somewhere else. It's usually not through the dating app.
Do you think it'd be different if you were not a single mom?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%.
What is it? Is it that it feels like, let's say it was someone you didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little bit of this conundrum, like you go to coffee, do you tell them immediately? But then it seems like a lot of information too fast. It also seems like you're this single working career woman and you don't want to waste time. So if he's not going to be down for you having a child, like
I put that on my profile. I don't have any dating profiles right now, but if I did, I would put that on my profile.
That's a good idea.
Saying that I'm a single mom. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's a great idea.
But yeah, it's easier. It's harder to take time out of my busy schedule to meet somebody that is from online that I have no idea who they are. Like, I don't want to waste my time than to meet up with somebody that I already know. We already know that we have a connection, you know?
Right. But yeah. And you're also working 12-hour days. You're doing pickup, drop off, extracurriculars. You're right. Like it takes a lot of time to go online and build that profile.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
But based on the dating out there, are men picking up the checks? Has it changed? Is there...
with me, they are.
With you, they're picking up the check, right?
Of course.
So you're making it clear, like, I'm expecting you to If they didn't, would you walk away? I mean, I would. I'm just curious.
Yeah, probably. I haven't ran into that situation, but again, I haven't gone on a lot of dates. So,
okay, well, good for you. You are setting standards, and clearly they realize you have an expectation that needs to be met.
100%.
At what point? What's the setup? At what point does a single mom, working mom, know like, okay, I've dated this guy, let's say 3 months. It's time to introduce him to my daughter. What is that like? Do you wait a certain time?
I think that it's better to do it sooner than later if you think that something serious is potentially coming out of it, only because you have to make sure that I want to know how they treat my daughter. So I don't want to get caught up in like this serious thing and fall in love, and then they meet my daughter and they treat her like shit.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
So I think it's important to see how that interaction is before getting too serious with somebody. But also the kid has to be ready for it.
That's a good point. And you read my mind. That's my next question. Have you gotten pushback from her?
Oh, 100%. She does not want me. She's always wanted me all to herself though. That girl wants me all to herself.
Wow. So there's a lot of resistance you have to deal with.
Yeah.
Wow. That's hard, Jade.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that translate into her kind of snapping at the guy when you introduce them to her?
Yes.
Oh, and I guess if he can survive that, he's a keeper.
Exactly. If they know how to maneuver through her, then it's a good sign.
You hit the lottery.
Yeah, exactly.
Is it easier to date men when you're a single mom? Is it easier to date men with kids, or is it just easier to find someone with no baggage who is accepting of you and you having a kid?
I honestly would prefer to find somebody that also has kids.
Why?
Because they have a better understanding, and I think they have better, I mean, maybe not, but their parenting skills may be a little bit more adapted as opposed to somebody that doesn't have kids. I don't think they have a full understanding of what it entails, to be honest. Right.
And that kind of bleeds into friendship. I don't know how you feel, but have you ever been in a situation where you have a wonderful gal pal and they don't have children, which is fine.
Right.
But there is a little bit of an expectation like, oh, hey, let's go out. And you're saying, I need like 48 hours notice so I can call 3 people and see who's going to babysit.
Yeah.
And it's a hindrance. You cannot I did not understand it until I had my own kids.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, this is a whole different beast.
Yeah.
So I could see that in friendship and dating life.
Yeah, definitely. Men that don't have kids do not understand.
Right. So your daughter is a 4th grader. My oldest is 3rd, but I'm still in the play date phase.
Yes.
I feel like just generally this phase you're going through as a mom, it's like she's outgrowing the play date phase, right? So what phase are we in right now? Is she setting up her own play dates? Are you dropping off? Are they going to the mall? I used to go to the Burbank Mall all the time and meet strangers. What's happening? Is there makeup? Is she shopping?
She likes nails.
Like press-ons?
Yes.
Okay.
She loves to do her own nails. Not only press-ons, but also like the glue-on ones.
Okay.
I kind of let her experiment because she really enjoys it. She's really good at it too. So, and she might be a nail tech one day. Like, who knows? I always tell her, like, keep practicing and you could do your friend's nails when you're 15, 16, you know?
So you're letting her explore like the beauty, hair coloring?
No.
No hair coloring? Okay.
Not yet. I don't want her hair to get damaged.
Yeah.
Yeah. But she is a little bit more introverted. She is not the kid that always wants to go to her friend's house or go play with her friends. I encourage it and she does not want to. She wants to be home. She's a homebody and she wants to be with me at home.
Yeah. And you need to individuate. So there's a kind of a tug of war a little bit, right?
100%, because I'm the complete opposite. I like to go out and do things. I like to be in the sun and outside and try fun things and do different things and try restaurants. And she just wants to be home and she wants me to cook and she wants to draw and watch TV.
Okay.
And play games.
And how do you, I can relate to that, by the way. So how do you meet a lot of people can relate to this, by the way, which is why I'm going to ask the next question. How do you meet a child in the middle who is radically different from who you are as a person? And not that that's a bad thing. It just is the universe laughing at us a little bit. But how do you meet her in the middle? Because she's at an age where you literally can't like pull her by the hair and say, we're going out the door. And then they're all grumpy and it doesn't work that way.
Right.
So how do you find this balance where you're not stuck at home all day with her?
I'm still trying to figure it out, to be honest. Because if I force her, it just ruins the mood. You know, it's like, why did we even come here? Because now she's moody and we're fighting. So I'm still trying to figure that out, honestly. One of my friends actually gave me a piece of advice and said, how about you guys alternate weekends? One weekend you do what she wants to do and the other weekend you guys do what you want to do.
I love that.
And I was like, that's a good idea.
Sounds great in theory.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see.
Okay, you're going to put that to the test?
Yeah, I am. Hopefully, Jayla does not like to compromise. So hopefully this will help teach her some compromise.
I love that though.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We'll see.
What have you talked to her about sex? Has she said anything? Has she come to you and said, what is it? What happens?
A little bit when she was younger about like how babies are made and all of that, but not really lately. I mean, she has no interest in boys at all.
But schools, like I meant in the sense that schools, I think are
talking about it.
I think fourth grade, they do an anatomical overview.
She knows.
She knows.
She knows the parts.
So she knows about intercourse and all that, but she's never come to you and said, hey, like, can you some kids want to confirm like what they've heard.
Yeah.
That hasn't happened.
No, but I think she knows.
Right.
I think she's talked about it with her therapist.
Okay.
And her therapist tells me, and then her therapist gave me a booklet that shows like what's age appropriate and what's not. But she definitely she knows. Yeah.
Yeah. And it sounds like you have a really open relationship with her. Like she can come to you for anything, to talk about anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
So you are this beautiful mom juggling a larger than life career. You've made a lot of pivots. You're also raising a daughter who is going through natural course of changes.
Mm-hmm.
And you have, she has grandparents who are living. Your parents are still very much living and running the course of their own life.
Mm-hmm.
Given that, and I feel like you're a little bit in the middle because your parents are, in their world doing their thing. They also, like your dad wants to be involved with her. How did you manage that? Because they're struggling in their own way.
Mm-hmm.
But they're also grandma and grandpa, and grandpa's trying to connect.
Mm-hmm.
So for the listener, it's complicated, right? You like, do I cut him off? But then he's trying. So how do you manage that? How do you manage it so it's a safe environment? Obviously, you don't want her to see them at the worst in their addiction.
Mm-hmm.
How did you just talk me through, like, how do you logistically set that up so grandparents can still be part of her life, yet she's not overexposed to stuff?
With my dad, I do put limitations. He means well,
right?
He means well,
and that makes it harder to say no. You can't come over. He's grandpa,
right? And he's good, she needs the tough love from him.
Yes,
I think his tough love as a kid made me as resilient as I am today with what I've dealt with him, and gave me my confidence too. So I think he does have an important role to play in her life. But yeah, he comes over for a few hours. We might go out to eat or go do something at the park or whatever it may be, and then he'll go home.
So tell me about the limitations. You were saying you set limitations. I love that. So how do you curate it? Do you say Dad, okay, we're going to do a couple hours? Is that how you limit it? Like you limit the time frame?
Not really. He has an understanding. He knows when it's time for him to go.
Wow.
Yeah. He'll come and then he'll say himself that he's going to go. I think my patience is low, so he could tell when I'm getting irritated.
You're when you're giving him the evil eye. Oh, I've never seen you in that element, so I can't even imagine you giving someone the evil eye. But sounds like you got it down.
Yeah.
That's
yeah, he'll go.
that's really a nice way to deal with a very difficult, someone you say awkward situation. So you're still giving her what she needs from grandpa.
Yeah.
Does she know what is going on or what they have been struggling with as grandparents, or is she very in the dark about it?
I think that she knows with my mom for sure.
Okay.
She knows with my mom for sure.
Okay.
I still don't talk to my mom.
Okay, that's hard.
Yeah, I've completely cut her out. And she knows yeah.
Jayla knows.
Jayla knows, yeah.
Your daughter. And you cut off mom, I think we had chatted, like for your own emotional and mental health, right?
Yes, 100%. Okay. I think I kept giving her chances, and I would just get the same outcome every time. And it was like, why do I keep doing this to myself? I already know what's going to happen. So I cut her out.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm so much happier, like not having to deal with the stress of that, you know?
And that sounds like that disappointment in someone, you showing up for someone and someone not showing up for themselves is so hard on you, right? Like it's so disappointing. And to recover from that level of disappointment is not easy.
Yeah, I mean,
is that where the disappointment is?
Yeah, I honestly didn't even expect my mom to last this long.
Yeah.
So I expected her to be gone already, to be honest. But
right, her body has been through a lot.
Yeah, yeah. So I think I've over the years have already separated myself from it and distanced myself from it, and already had these expectations of her not being here. So yeah, I've prepped myself already.
I love that. And that leads me to my last question, even though I can go on for days with you. That example is an example of you protecting your peace. That's how I see it, because I know you're a very kind person. So it must have gone so far that you literally have to make such a harsh decision to protect your peace and her peace, probably. And what other ways in the grand scope of your life, like business, having a child, like you're being pulled in a million directions. How else do you protect your peace on a day-to-day? Like, do you carve out time for specific things? Like, are you proactive about protecting your peace so you are you?
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing that I absolutely have to have in my life is physical activity. It really helps me. So I don't have a lot of time in the day. So if I'm going to work out, I have to wake up at 4:30 in the morning and be at the gym by 5 and be out of the gym by 6:15 to make it home by 6:30 to get ready and get my daughter up and her ready for school.
That's a commitment. You do that every day?
I try.
Wow.
But
Hats
it does
off.
not happen. It's very hard to wake up at 4:30 no matter what time I go to bed. So, I mean, yeah, some weeks I'm there 5 days a week. Other weeks I'm there 1 day a week. But if I go too long without it, my patience is lower, my motivation is lower. So it's definitely something that I absolutely need to keep myself grounded and at peace, for sure.
I love that. So the takeaway, I think, is keep up with your physical needs, tend to them, and release things or people that don't serve you or the situation.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
And nature too. I need nature. I think nature is very helpful.
So you go for walks, or do you have your cup of coffee like under a tree with birds? What does it look like for you?
I've been slacking with this lately, and I've been trying to get back into it. And it's just a reminder of how much nature gives me and how much it helps. So usually a hike. I would say a hike is how I do it, or a walk outside, or even a run through nature. There's a park not too far from where I live now, and I go on runs there.
Okay, Jade, that's our next outing. Call me.
Okay.
We're gonna go for a hike.
Okay,
nature.
yeah.
No ayahuasca, but I'll do the hike, okay?
Of course.
Well, I want to end by saying I love you.
Oh, I love you too.
I really do. And we met on a more professional level through your business. And it has been one of the honors. And I think we met during COVID.
Yeah, I think so.
Right, during the pandemic. And there were a lot of losses during COVID, but I do count you as one of the blessings in that COVID journey.
Definitely.
And thank you for agreeing to share your story with listeners. I think it's so impactful, and we will keep everybody updated about you. I love you so, so much. Thank you, Jade.
Thank you, Mary, for having me. I love you too.
Dear listeners, if you like what you heard, you can subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple, and follow me on my journey on Instagram and YouTube. Until next time.